no boast. From the rookies in the youth leagues to the seasoned pros, ladies ballin', fellas fighting all around the globe. Breaking it down, dynamic. You know, tune in, listen up. Don't wanna miss the flow. It's Coach Ed Reed and Attack the Sports Show. From the courts to the fields, he's got the stats. Dropping knowledge is where the real fans at. So stand up, get ready for the play. Wave your arms in the air, let's hear you say play. Coach Ed, our mentor on the mic. Breaking down the game, every highlight. Analyzing plays, court the turf the like. Youth leagues, college dreams, pro spotlight. Tackling the flats, defense or attack. He's got the vision, shows you where it's at. We grab the scoop, no stone left unturned. In Coach Ed's realm, the knowledge earned.
Peace and blessings, everyone. Thank you for rocking with another episode of the Read and Attack Sports Show, hosted by me, Coach Ed. Today, I have a guest, another guest, my brother, co-host with me on Part of the City every Wednesday night. Also there doing a lot of things on a lot of different shows, Giants Convo, Heat Check, you name it, but my brother, NYG22, also known as Unpopular Opinion Sports. And yeah, he's very, he gives you those unpopular takes. So appreciate my brother for tapping in. How you doing today, NYG?
I'm good, bro. Ready to talk some sports, man, with you, my big bro, man. You know what I'm saying? Getting into it. A lot going on in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some things going on, you know, around baseball, around college. So get it ready to talk.
All right. I appreciate that. So we're about ready to get into it, but y'all know the routine. Y'all know what I always say, man. Help a brother out, help a network out, man. Make sure you guys hit that like button, man. You like the channel, like the show. Make sure you hit the like. You're on Facebook, give us a thumbs up. If you're on Twitter, give us the little heart. Man, make sure you do all that. Tap into the Aboriginal Sports Network, the Hardcore Sports Network, Coach Ed Sports, man. All that information is right there in the description. So also make sure you tap into Unpopular Opinion Sports, man. It gives you some really great content across the board, man. So appreciate everyone who's here. Make sure you guys, sub up, get notified, and leave a comment, man. Join the conversation. This is interactive. You're a part of this too. So, but we're gonna go ahead and get into it. The first topic that I want to dive into deals with college. There's the new proposal. It's a 5-for-5 proposal that has an impact on college athletic programs, university, all across the board, the future of college sports. So it's really an interesting perspective, because for those of you who don't know, normally college sports, you get 4 years on a scholarship. Now you have 5 years. They always give you a red shirt year. Usually that goes to freshmen. When you first get into college, you get acclimated, because it's a lot. It really is transitioning from high school to college sports. Also, the physical aspects, so you get to work out, you get into the college regimen. But now they're changing it. They're just giving them college students straightforward 5 years. You can play 5 years, for that whole time frame. Now it starts either on your 19th birthday or whenever you enroll into school officially. So so once your 19th birthday comes around, basically that's when the clock ticks in. So there's some debate, because some are saying, well, you're losing a year if you come in when you're in your 20th. Now, there's no waivers except for pregnancies, the military and religious missions, that type of thing, because those have priority over this. But it gives a different dynamic. It also, because you have kids nowadays with the transfer portal, and I'm going to get into that. There's a little change there, but you have some kids jumping around and sometimes they're playing 6, 7 years. So it's like, I get it. When you first get in 18ish, most are 18, 19. You have some kids on rare occasions 17, but then when you're playing up against 23, 24, 25-year-old adults, this ain't the pros. I know they're getting paid, but it's, there's still that physical challenge. NYJ, what's your thoughts on, have you tapped into it? Have you heard much about it? I mean, what's your thoughts on this new change to the NCAA?
Yeah, I heard a little bit about it. And of course you broke it down very well right there. It's I think it's about them finding the balance between having college be what it is, which is athletics,
Mm-hmm.
and having it not go to a pro level,
Mm-hmm.
where you have guys coming in there in college, having 10-year careers, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying, with
Mm-hmm.
different loopholes and different things that
Mm-hmm.
they've been trying to go around. So I think this is a good step towards trying to create that balance between, okay, like, we want you to get your education and stay in school as long as you need to, but don't milk it. You know what I'm saying? And don't
Mm-hmm.
drag it out, just because you got an NIL deal and you ain't good enough to get to the league or whatever it is. So, and I think that's a lot of what it is too. If a guy knows he's not going to get, or he may not make as much money at the next level, then yeah, if they're gonna let you do it, I'm gonna stay in college and play at a high level
Mm-hmm.
and make money,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because whatever they're getting in college is way more than what you're gonna get out here on the streets. Go and work in a regular job at a factory or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's like it makes more sense to them to be like, man, let me get my money while I'm in college and I'm still doing my thing. So the NCAA is catching on in that. They're like, hold up, we see what's going on. We need to put some parameters in place so this doesn't happen. They're protecting their brand. I mean, can't be mad at it, And for those that were able to take advantage of it, or that are now, hey, kudos to you. But things do change quickly.
And I agree with you. They do change. And, this process, I mean, first and foremost, like you said, we all get it. They're really they're in a sense professionals for the most part at the top level, going to get a college education. It's not really the student athletes like it was of old. So, yeah, I get it. Don't milk it. Look, go in, do what you got to do. Now, those who are smart, they understand. I'm getting a free college education. Plus, I can get me a little NIL money, do what I got to do, and walk out of college with no student loans, and you got to pay back, and you got some money in your pocket. I mean, if you can walk out of there with a half a mil in your pocket, and you go about your life at 22, 23 years old, it's a good thing. That's a good thing. And then you have your network opportunities. You may even get set up with a great job, getting interns, and then there you go. You go into that. You got money in your pocket. What 22-year-old wouldn't want to walk out of college with no student loans and money in your pocket, really? I mean, you're set, and if you work it right, man, your career can take off. So, but the 5 for 5, yeah, it gives them that 5-year window, which allows them to just go in, do what you got to do, and look. To be honest with you, that's your undergrad and your graduate degree right there. Because you need, once you go to college, a lot of corporate companies and certain businesses are looking for a graduate degree. So you can walk out of there, and if you're really smart and you could do it, you can walk out of there with a PhD. So I mean, I've seen kids who within 5 years they walk out with a PhD and they're a student athlete. So Personally, I do like it. I think it takes away the jumping around and all these kids, going to school 6 years, 7 years. Because I'm to the point. I agree with kids getting an education, but some of them, yeah, like you said earlier, you're milking it.
Yeah.
Look, it's time to be an adult. Put on your big boy pants and go out there and handle your business. So, be a part of life and what we're supposed to do. So, but hey, kudos to the NCAA. I usually kill the NCAA for a lot of things, but I do like this with what they're doing here. One of the other changes in the landscape of college football, because this is where this is mainly going to be targeting right now, is changes to the practice. They're going to try and implement a little bit more of an OTA atmosphere. And there's also, like with spring practices, you get 15 practices. There's going to be some adjustments. It's going to go up to 21 practices, and you're going to have a certain time frame to really get it done. It's going to be like within a 5 week period. Also, with the portal, like in college football, with the changes, it was, if years ago it was 2 times in the year, one in December and one in no, one in November and one in February. But then they went to just one, which is in February, and the one in February was at 15. It was a 15-day open period that you can put your name into the portal, and then once your name is in the portal, the schools can contact you, whatever. But you had literally 2 weeks. Now they're going to shorten it and make it to 10 days. So all
Mm.
of this coincides with that. So I like that what they're doing there, because again, all this portal and all this jumping around, and when kids can put their name in the portal and, look, cut all that, man. You got to teach these kids also, to be honest with you, you got to think, you got to map out your future, whatever you're doing, and you got to be an adult. You got to make decisions. We as adults, you don't have a lot of time. You got to make decisions quickly. So I like this. In addition to the 5 for 5, and I think it's going to help. And again, they're doing this with football. So if this goes well with football, they're going to roll it out to the other sports. And the biggest thing to me is about the portal, because now you gotta look, it's open and then it's closed. So you gotta make your decision quickly. So look, if you want to transfer, you're gonna be in the school, you should know. Look, I gotta transfer. I don't think this is also aligned with coaches, when they leave. That's a little bit different. I'm still doing the research on that, but the understanding is when the portal opens, instead of 15 days, it's now 10 days. What's your thoughts? Do you think that's a good deal in football, that they shorten the portal window for kids putting their names into the portal?
Um, I guess. I mean, it's it's all about, like I said, the NCAA getting back control and trying to rein things in. Just little things like that. So,
Mhm.
maybe it'll discourage less kids from transferring, people
Mhm.
that are a little bit unsure, knowing they don't really have a lot of window to talk to other schools or whatever. And then so that it's one of those things, like I said, where they getting pulling this thing back and getting more back in control of the wildness that was happening when
Mhm.
the NIL blew up, and of course the transfer portal thing opened it up, which in a sense is like free agency,
Mhm.
and they
Mhm.
they don't want it to be like that, because free agency is months, a couple, in the NFL,
Mhm.
in NBA, and of course the NFL.
Mhm.
So if you just have this little short period in the NCAA, maybe it's not, it doesn't look more like free agency, and it looks more like just a little transfer window.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I think it's just little tweaks like that. I don't think it's a huge deal, but little tweaks like that just kind of lets me further know that they really trying to get this thing back under control.
Mhm. Exactly. And here's the other thing too. With all these changes, they're trying not to not let Congress come in here and take over. That's one of the things also I think that they're trying to do. They don't want the government coming in and taking control, and because a lot of people have said that. Why doesn't Congress come in and take control and set the rules? And no, I will say this: it's just like any other business. If you have a business, do you want the government coming in and setting up your rules? And yeah, they have to have antitrust laws and certain things of that nature, and that's for everyone. But in terms of a business, and I know this is a multi-billion-dollar corporate entity, but you don't see Congress coming into the other coming into pro sports like the NFL, the MLB, the NBA. No, they go in and they handle their business. Well, the NCAA, this is what you need to do. You need to get control of what you established. And I know it's been a long-standing period. Over 100 years. But look, I know it's tedious, but hone this in, and that's why I think this is necessary. So, but we're gonna see how this goes going forward. So, but I'll be keeping my eye out on that. So, but now let's really start to get into the exciting stuff. The NCAA, little recap. In terms of the draft, you're very proficient at the NBA. What goes on? Man, you amaze me with some of your takes. You're on the money with a lot of your takes, man. So, um, who do you think in terms of the draft? Who do you think was the biggest winner? We're gonna start there. What team or teams, if you think it's more than one, do you think had a really great draft?
Um, I think Washington. To be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
they don't do a lot of things right. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
when you look at what happened here, them getting the Bonsa and then re-signing now the Trey Young contract, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. He's on the team. You traded for him. Ain't nothing to do but to give him what he wants. So if you can get anything out of Anthony Davis, they might have a team to compete for a playing spot at worst. So I think they're a big winner here. I do like what the Grizzlies are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Getting Boozer there. They got to figure that Ja Morant thing out. Because Ja Morant is a character, man, but he is talent. He is talent. He is talented. So if you can figure that out, and you got Boozer, who, hey, he's what? He's at minimum, he should be a solid player. Of course, the upside is for him to be one of the best players in it, coming out of this draft. But I think those are two winners right there, because, and then you're looking at Utah,
Mm-hmm.
getting Peterson, because everybody thought the fit would have been the Bonsa going there, of course, with the BYU connection and all that. But things don't always work that way. So I'm looking at those. Another winner, Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago
Mm-hmm.
Bulls, getting Caleb Wilson, they made the trade to bring in Nick Claxton. The Bulls, then they pick up that other kid, I forgot his name, that two-way guard. So, they're trying to build a long, tall, we talked about it with Pat the other night. They're trying to build a long, tall, defensive type team. So I think those are some winners right there.
Yeah, you hit it, perfectly in terms of those winners. Especially on the teams that are really trying to fight their way back into or up the ladder in terms of the NBA. Two teams that I thought about, and I'm like, damn, the richer keep getting richer. San Antonio and OKC. I mean, OKC getting that center from Michigan, 7'4". Um, it's like, damn, but that also tells me that they're looking for somebody who can, you know, go eye to eye, toe to toe in a sense with Wemby. Because
Mm,
that Chet really showed that he's not it, but SGA needed some type of a low post present who can at least develop and be a suitable competition. And now you have a stout front line, especially if they can bring back Hartenstein, and then yes, I'm not saying Chet is a scrub, but now you have tall guys who can compete. And in San Antonio, what did we talk about before? To protect Wemby, he needed some
yeah,
goons.
yeah.
And San Antonio got two, not just one, two.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one I forgot that one kid has the knee.
Clintonets,
Yeah,
yeah,
he has the knee. It's going to take a year, but then you have the other kid from
yeah,
UConn, Reed.
Reed,
Reed.
yep,
Yeah, because there was talk that the Knicks were going to try and look at him in the second round. So, but that protects Wemby, and then we all have talked about what they have, especially in the starters. They just didn't have any power forwards in a sense. Now you have depth, because with Castle, with Harper, with Vassell, Champagne, you do have the ability to spread it out. Wemby, when he's on, he can shoot the outside, he can take you off the dribble, he can use his height. He just doesn't have a move. That's really what a signature move. Give him a signature move, and then you know he would be even better. But now having these two guys, also, they come out there, you develop them, and they can be in a sense what Charles Oakley was back in the day for Patrick Ewing. And sometimes that's what your superstar needs. You can say what you want about Michael. Michael could handle himself, but he had, Horace Grant was that goon.
yeah,
He'll go out there and he'll get in the way, and and go further back with Isaiah. Say what you want, Rick Mahorn. And to a lesser extent, Bill Lambier.
Van Bear,
So
yep.
yeah, so
Mhm.
I like what San Antonio and OKC did there. You hit the other ones. I love what Chicago did. Utah, I mean, it hurts in one regard. My man Ace Belly is going to be coming off the bench, but that also tells you the depth that Utah has on their team.
Yeah,
So putting Peterson over there, man, and it leaves you feeling better about the NBA as a whole in the future because look, let's be real. Some people are like, well, what's going to happen with LeBron and Steph and KD leave? Who's going to really, but you have it now, and hopefully we can see what happens with Ant because we're going to get into that in a little bit, um, and see from there. Now, who do you think? What team or teams miss an opportunity in the draft?
um, well, you got to stop the Pacers.
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
The Pacers, because their pick went to
mhm,
um the was it the Clippers?
mhm.
So their pick went to the Clippers, and then I mean they didn't get anything in this draft. Yeah, they didn't have a pick.
I forgot. Yeah, they didn't have
So
anything.
that's it. You don't have a pick, in a so-called loaded draft. Um, you have to be considered a
Mhm,
loser. Um,
mhm,
you know, I don't want to pick on the Brooklyn Nets. We talked about it a lot, but um, you my biggest thing was not the Macau Brown Jr. thing. It's the fact that you had the opportunity to trade up in that second back half of that second round and get a big man, and you didn't do it, because but the two big men that went, Reed went, and then
Mm-hmm.
Sinek went right before the Nets could pick. And I know Sinek was definitely somebody they was definitely Chris Sanak Jr. definitely was somebody that they was looking at. That's my biggest thing with them. Not the fact that they passed on Acuff, even though a lot of people will consider them a loser because of that. It's the fact that you basically came out of this draft with no center.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Other loser, honestly, that was the two that was on my mind. The most, to be honest with you, because the Pacers, didn't have a pick. Of course, the Nets, who always seem to get screwed out of picks that they want, and yeah, if you want to say a loser as far as the draft wise is concerned, too, is do you throw Miami in there? Because they traded their pick to Milwaukee.
I mean, you can make the argument because they ended up with Giannis. I mean, and I get it.
Oh.
I get it where it goes. I'm looking here at Bleacher Report, and they don't like Houston's pick of Bruce Thornton. They gave Houston a C minus. Yeah, they gave Indiana a C minus. Lakers they gave A. Grizzlies they gave A plus. Miami they gave them an A minus.
Yeah, I think everybody had a decent draft. Like those are the only two that I could really say, and I'm only killing Brooklyn for that second pick, not Mikal Brown Jr. because I think he's going to fit into what they're trying to do better than what Acuff would have. But it's the fact you don't have a big man, and you seemingly always, lose these drafts.
Orlando. Yeah, because don't remember a lot of their picks went into the trade for Desmond Bain.
Orlando didn't have a pick either.
They only had one. They had 51, and they took Isaiah Nelson, a power forward. So
yeah,
So I mean, I'm sitting here, Orlando. So but yeah, I mean, for the most part, everyone else is A's and B's for the most part.
Yeah.
Wow, they killed the Spurs. They gave the Spurs a C minus. I'm not with you on that one. Nah, I'm not with you on that one. So yeah, but yeah, everyone else, I mean, all the teams you talked about, A's, yeah. So I mean, thinking about Orlando, yeah, but because you gave up all those picks for Desmond Bain, so that's always going to be the argument there. They need to, they need to produce, and being where they ended up firing their head coach. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a missed opportunity for them. So I'll go with that. So, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So, but the big storyline of the day.
Oh, I was going to say the Knicks. That's something to talk about too, because they had to trade a lot of their picks because of cash consideration. I mean, you didn't really get to take some of the players that maybe could have helped you because you were trying to get under that second apron. I almost forgot about that. Let them off.
But I don't think it was a missed opportunity because of what they're trying to do. They're trying to move back. And and the picks that they did get, the one kid from Vanderbilt, he's a quick shooter. I mean, the little bit of film that I saw, and I did a little research on him and checked what some of the top content creators and news media have said, and they all said the kid can shoot. He was the top 3-point shooter in college basketball. So and he shoots faster than Landry Shamet. And Shamet, we know, shoots. He does have a quick release, but this kid has a quicker release. Now he's not. I'm not going to sit here and say he can guard as well as him. So, and then the other kid from Germany, there's mixed reviews because nobody knows about him. That's the whole thing. He was an international, and but I've heard he has good athletic ability. He can play the lead guard or the shooting guard. So we'll see. With him. So, and I saw a little clip, and he looked like he's all right. But again, it's an international film, so I take that with a grain of salt. So, but the biggest thing with the Knicks is because they're trying to stay under the cap. I mean,
Yeah.
not the cap, the second apron.
Mm.
So if you look at it like that, then they're doing what they need to do, because also look at what happened with Denver, after they won and they were over, but now you ended up, remember, they had to let Bruce Bowen go, and all the guys that were
Yeah.
key reserve guys, which the Knicks are trying not to get caught out there, which is why it's important that they ended up signing Diawara, and what are you going to get from your young guys? We talked about it, Hakordi, bringing him back, and then they seem to really love Dadier. I mean, read a couple of articles that management and the coaching staff seems to love him, and they're hoping he takes the ascent. So that can step in and replace Landry Shamet, because was it you or Pat? No, Pat was talking about it last night with Diawara. And I said Diawara is more the wing type of a player, so so he can take the place. And I saw, where was the article? Hold on a second. I saw an article on Diawara. I didn't save it, my dumb self. Yeah, because it was talking about his shooting and what he brings to the table, his corner threes. I think he was at 43% in corner threes last year. And they were talking about a little bit more into his game, his height, 6'10", he has a 7'4" wingspan, he can switch off on defense. So he might be the better fit. And like I said, that last year was his first year. So, you're going to develop him and see him grow. So he might be the replacement for Landry Shamet when you all break it down. So we'll see. So with the Knicks, it's I get where you're going with missed opportunities, but it comes down to ultimate to me who you're bringing back. So
yeah.
That's
it. You're right. I think it's probably best to take a wait and see approach on that one, because if you don't bring some of these guys back and then you look back and you say, "Oh, you was trying to save all this money," but you let some of the guys go that people wanted to bring back, then you may look at it and say, "Well, you had an opportunity in the draft maybe to get some better fits for those players." And not to say that the guys they got aren't, that can't pan out, they can't turn out or anything like that, but you had opportunities to pick a much higher in the draft and get much better talent with much more better potential.
Exactly. No, I get you. So, with them, like I said, it's a wait and see. So, but I can understand the missed opportunity situation. So, but here, we got to talk about the big one. So, the Mel Ball and it came on last night, the end of our show. It was just like, oh, they're trying to trade him, and lo and behold, I did not think it was going to come this fast. I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't. So, hearing, during the, in preparation for this, we're going to talk about trade rumors, but then when it finalized, it was just like, whoa, okay, that was fast. So, before we get into what it means for Anthony Edwards and for LaMelo, the thought about you're only giving up Naz Reid, one first round draft pick, really. That's all you're giving up. And then I think it's 3 first round draft pick swaps. and a second round draft pick swap, if I'm not mistaken. Did Minnesota give up enough to get an all-star player like LaMelo Ball? I mean, I was thinking about it, and I know some people were, they don't like it for Minnesota, they don't like it for Charlotte. It's also to be determined. But if if you're only now, look, I think what hurts, or you can put into the equation, is Minnesota ended up giving, because you do factor in Julius Randle going over to the Nets, and now Nas Reed, where, like Leaf was saying about it earlier today on his stream, he said Minnesota has no power forwards on their roster. So it's like, when you look at the roster, but if you just look at it, just what did Minnesota give up to get LaMelo Ball? You only gave up Nas Reed and a first round draft pick and some pick swaps. And if Minnesota is playing better, you're not going to swap the picks. So to me, I'm looking at it as you gave up a player and Nas Reed and a first round draft pick, and I think that's in 32, if I'm not mistaken, for LaMelo Ball. He's 24 years old.
Yeah, it's in 33. Unprotected.
33,
first
yeah.
round pick in 33.
Yeah, unprotected. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, what's your thoughts? Do you think Minnesota gave up enough to get LaMelo Ball?
I think they won. I think that LaMelo Ball is nice. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he played over there in Charlotte on it, so not a lot of eyes was on him. But
look, the only thing with LaMelo,
I get down.
The only thing I say with LaMelo is the injuries. I wonder, is he going to play 55, 60 games? Last year I think Mitch said he played like 75 games, I think. So okay, he played a good portion of the season. Okay, that's cool.
He played 72 games last year.
72. Okay,
he averaged 20 and 7, 20 points, 7.1 assists, 5 rebounds.
To give up a guy,
he shoots almost 90% from the free throw line and 37 from 3.
And you give up Nas Reed, who's a bench player. He's the sixth man, who going over there, because Mitch was looking at their roster, and when they broke it down, I'm like, Nas Reed is not going to be starting over the guys that they have over there. Because you have what's his name, Bridges, and I forgot who else. He had said it. I was just like, nah, he's not going to start over them over there. So you gave up a guy coming off the bench and unprotected in 33. I mean, yes, you got the pick swaps. Don't get me wrong. If Minnesota goes in the tank, then okay, fine. But that's a chance. But more than likely, Minnesota still has a good squad. Worst case scenario, what? They're in the West. They're 6th seed, 5th seed. I'm with you in terms of that. Now look, Charlotte has young talent, and that's what they're banking on right now. I get it. I get what they're doing. So all right, cool. But I would have thought you would have gotten more for LaMelo Ball from Charlotte.
Me too.
So
I'm with you on that, man. But they got Kobe White, they got Con Knipple, and they still got Brandon Miller, and Bridges.
Yeah.
So I mean, now you got Nas Reed. You can throw in at the
we're gonna start at
the 4 at the 5. Yeah, if you want to put them at the 5, you can put them at the 5 over. They got Databay, Databay, whatever.
I know you're talking about. I know.
Yeah, the big guy out of Michigan, but he's if you want to put Reed over him, he's 6'11", but Reed is 6'9", 264. He could probably hold you down in certain lineups to play the 5 if you want to go small. So, teams do that. You've seen them do it with Wemby. When you got these centers that like to play out on the wing, you can go small. Sure. Because it's not like the guys are using their size to really go down and you know, they're taking threes. You know what I'm saying? All you have to do is be able to have enough length to contest those shots. You know, so you know, if you got a guy that's 6'10", 6'11", but he's got over 7 foot plus wingspan or whatever, then yeah, you know, he can play some of those guys like Wemby and Greek Freak like that. But
sure, well, that's fair. That's fair.
mm-hmm.
I guess I yeah. All right. I you know.
But
Right.
I think Minnesota's winning here.
Yeah.
Because just Anthony Edwards, man. Look,
Yes.
great player. You got to do something. You got to give him something. You need to have a run. You got to look. The West is getting with these guards, man, coach. The West, you know, we talk about the San Antonio guards, but you know, OKC, they got some guards too. You know, some guards and some wings, you know. You think about the Lakers now bringing back Reeves and Luka over there. You know, you know, you got Houston, you got Denver, you got a lot of teams to deal with, man, and you need a guy that can help Ant-Man out in that backcourt. You know what I'm saying?
That's
and
fair.
take some pressure off him.
Yeah, no, I agree.
You know
with
what I'm
that.
saying? So, you know, if you could put Melo and have Ant-Man kind of play less ball, because you know, Anthony, he's pissed, right? You're right, Mitch. But that's why they're trying to get him some help, so he doesn't have to. Because we watched Anthony Edwards, you know, run the point a lot in Minnesota, you know. So now you don't have to do all that. You could play off ball more. You know, he can do more what I like to see him do. You know what I'm saying? Like, his defense is great, you know, but when you got to put up 30, 40 a game because you don't have nobody on the offensive end, you don't have a lot of help over there, you know, you got guys that's inconsistent, then, yeah, this is a move that you make. Now, they got Gobert still, so you got your rim protected, but you still need somebody to go alongside him down there to help with rebounds and stuff. So
no, exactly.
They still got some work to do, man, but it's looking pretty good, man. I like the fact that they made that move for Ant-Man.
Yeah, Kobe White got paid once they traded Ball. He got paid.
I knew they was gonna move Kobe White up, and Kobe White is a good ascending player. You know, I like him. You know, come out of Carolina.
Yeah, exactly. So he's back in Carolina. So it's a good look for him. So now, you know, you touched on what it does for Anthony Edwards, having him, giving him, you know, productive offensive scoring, because he and Julius Randle, they bumped heads. They really did. They were bumping heads, you know. So and at least with LaMelo, and one of the great things about LaMelo, everyone talks about it. It's not even his scoring; it's his passing. It's his court vision, his court awareness. So that tells me he's going to be able to help facilitate and help Anthony Edwards' game, but the other guys over there, you know, look, you know, you can kill Gobert, you know, for his offensive limitations, but pick and roll with him and LaMelo, I mean, and you know, you throw those lobs up there, you know, come on. Now, here's the other thing. Now, I know next year he's going to be out, but DiVincenzo, because now think about this, you can play all three of them at times too, because Ant can also go over to the small forward in a sense.
You still got Jaden McDaniels too.
You got McDaniel, exactly. So, you know, you had, and that allows LaMelo to, you know what, you spread the court, you get the pick and roll, he can get into the paint, he can dish to guys who are open. You know, you can work even with him and Ant. You can do pick and roll with him, and you know, certain things to that extent. So yeah, he said Gobert benefits. Yeah, big guys always benefit when you have a true point guard who can facilitate and get you the ball in the right spots. You know, that's always the thing. So,
and they drafted because remember the trade with Julius Randle, they got the Nets pick in the second round. They took the kid out of Duke, Isaiah Evans, who can
Oh
shoot
yeah,
as
that's
well.
right. That's right.
So
Yeah,
that
you're
can
right.
be their DiVincenzo replacement if they let him go after.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. So, Minnesota's in a good spot. You know, it just ends up being, you know, like we said, getting that four who can, you know, who can
Solid,
give them
yeah.
a little bit more. He's glad yeah, you always did talk about that, Mitch. You wanted him out of Charlotte. So, well, there you have it. And, you know, Leaf even said it. He said, you know, expect to see a lot more Minnesota games, you know, on prime time going forward, which is true because people are going to want to see those two play. You know,
Yeah.
fans are going to want to see them play going forward. So, you know, and that's one of the impacts, you know, in the league across the board. And, you know, if they play very well,
It's a good backcourt, man. I
yeah,
mean, they can match up with anybody. You know what I'm saying? They
match up
can
with a
match
lot.
up with anybody. You know,
I
because
think
LaMelo is. You got to think LaMelo is 6'7".
yes.
He's a tall point guard. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so again, you know me. What I talk about, you know what I'm saying. I talk about in football and in basketball the same thing about, you know, having big men, having guys that's with length and size, you know, that can
Mm-hmm.
play multiple positions, you know. And so again, you looking at them two, you know, if you want to run LaMelo off some screens and get him some threes, some looks, you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to do
Mm-hmm.
that with Ant-Man and let him handle the ball, or you know, LaMelo can handle the ball and you can do that with Ant Edwards and let him drive and kick. So I like
Mm-hmm.
that combination. And I also like it defensively now because you have the length in the backcourt to go up against
Mm-hmm.
those
Mm-hmm.
bigger, taller guards that's in the Western Conference, like we've been talking about.
Nick says is questioning: are they the best backcourt in the NBA right now?
Best backcourt in the NBA. It's an argument to be made. Who are you thinking about? You know,
Okay, if we're talking all around, because we're going to talk
backcourt.
defense. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm saying because I'm going to include defense, so I'm taking the Lakers with Luka and Reed out of the equation. If we're just talking offense,
Because
then
that's the
Luka and
first one I
Reed,
thought of, Luca
yeah,
and Austin Reeves.
Reed offensively they can score with anyone, but defensively, you
But
know,
outside of
so
them, I'm having a hard time. Like, who else you putting up there?
yeah, because Houston, no, San Antonio. Because it
San
depends
Antonio.
if it's Castle and Harper.
See, yeah, that's the thing. But they got the dang on De'Aaron Fox
Aaron
over
Fox,
there,
yeah,
yo.
damn, that's true. Yeah, you're right, but you know, yeah. I mean, but then against OKC with J Dub and SGA,
That's the other one.
so it's
Yeah, because a healthy J Dub and
mhm.
SGA is right there because
In
they
the
both two-way
East.
players too. Yeah.
If I go to the East, Boston, because technically Brown is the shooting guard, and then you have Derek White.
Yeah.
But Derek White is not elite, so I mean maybe it's just
They ain't
but
putting him up there.
but
They
with
ain't
these
putting him up there.
two, but Derek White can kill it.
Still ain't putting him up there.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Like I'm going down the list. Knicks, no. Um, do we say Philadelphia with Maxey and Edgecombe?
Offensively, yeah, they there, but defensively, I don't know.
Yeah, Edgecombe is good defense, but Maxey is but he's not elite. Um. Mitch, I don't know about Lillard and Holiday because they're past their prime.
Yeah.
That's the thing. They're, you know, in their prime. If they were together, you can make an argument. Even though Lillard was never a top defender, because I'm including all around offense and defense. So I'm trying to think. Atlanta's not there as yet. Orlando, no. Miami, no. Because we don't even know what's there in Miami.
Yeah, they don't
Um,
even have a dang on backcourt.
Cleveland, no, because it's
Nope.
because of Harden.
Indiana, nope.
Mhm. Well, wait, with Indiana, because you're getting Halliburton
Not
back.
Halliburton, but you putting Nimhard
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
in that category. No.
No, they're more depth than they are.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So if
No, I mean,
he's saying it's like starting backcourt,
yeah, no,
then
that's
it's probably them two on the screen right there. Honestly,
I'm. I will say them.
overall, yeah,
I will say them, and it's going to balance out between them and SGA and OK and J Dub. But like you said, J Dub is healthy, and then with San Antonio, if it's Harper starting, then they're still young. They're still
Harper and
young. So
Castle are on their way,
yes,
but
they're on their way.
they
But
might not even be there yet because Castle's Harper's just hitting his stride, and then Castle, what we see in the playoffs, some of the inconsistencies. Maybe he has a little bit to work on too,
yeah,
but they're
fair.
right there. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if we want to do a top five, maybe they slide in there at 5 somewhere. But if I'm going one overall, it's them. You want to make an argument for the OKC guys? Cool. Luka and Austin Reeves, they can do things offensively, but they're both defensive liabilities. So
exactly,
you can't put them in there overall. So we're doing just overall, both ends of the court. I think it's them.
I'm with you. Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair. Good question, Mitch. Appreciate that. So, but yeah, I'm intrigued once the season comes back to, how these two are going to work and develop their chemistry, because that's going to be the biggest thing. So, but on paper, yeah, they got a nice little tandem right there. So we'll see what happens. But all right, we're going to move on to the next topic, and it's LeBron watch. Where will he go? Where will he land?
Right there.
On the real, I will say this too. Yo, he got Chat GPT blocked. You can't use his image on Chat GPT because it kept telling me it was violating. I was just like, what? I had to go and do my own thing. I'm like, damn, he's like that. He's big time like that. Like, whoa, okay, LeBron.
But it's tied in, so
yeah. So
you know what I mean. You know how I do. What I be talking about. So wouldn't surprise me.
But okay, where will he land? So, and that's the big question. I mean, because the first thing is it going to be about the money for him? Because is it really about the championship? Because to me, and I know everyone, there are people that tell me, but it has to, the money and the championship go hand in hand. No, not really. I mean, hey, my team, our captain showed you it ain't about the money if you really want the ring. So, will LeBron want to take, a discount? Because right now with the Lakers, they already showed him he's not a top priority. Yeah. He's a third option. So that means the money's going to reflect that. He ain't getting no $50-60 million. So will he play for 20? Will he play for 30? And where will he go to get that kind of money? Because who has it? I think Detroit has the money, but is he a fit in Detroit? Because I mean, literally, he's playing the same position as Tobias Harris. So, so it's where will LeBron land? I mean, is he going back to Cleveland? Will he take the discount to try and see if he can help that squad? Now, if he went there, I still don't think he helps him that much, because he's going to be what, 41, 42? Now he's a hell of a specimen physically. Let me tell you, a man at that age to be built like he is. But look, let's be real. When you get into your 40s, I'm telling you from past experience, bro, your body does not respond the same damn way as if you're 20. So and you already have Harden out there, so it's like, does he help if he was in Cleveland? Does he help them? Because they were in the 4th seed this year. Does he push them up over New York, over Boston, over Detroit? Now you can make the argument for Detroit, but other teams have, what does Atlanta look like? Because they've made some little moves. I mean, we got to wait and see what happens with Miami because, the Greek freak over there with Bam. I mean, I still got to respect what they can do defensively. If he went to Cleveland, if LeBron went to Cleveland, does he help them there? I mean, where do you think LeBron is going to end up, bro?
With the Lakers. What? First of all, I don't never see a lot of these athletes really. We could talk all that stuff about taking less money and doing all this and all that. A lot of times when they do it, they're getting something on the back end. You know what I mean? So I don't see them taking just a straight up pay cut. Like, all right, I'm going to take a 1 year kind of vet minimum ish type of deal just to play with you guys. You know what I'm saying? Not somebody of LeBron's magnitude. I don't think. You see some superstars do it, but not somebody of this magnitude.
Yeah,
somebody that people are considering the greatest of all time. So in football, it would be like Tom Brady playing for the vet minimum or somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? You just don't see it. Like it's kind of a pride thing. Like I'm not trash to where I have to take this much of a pay cut to prove a point. I don't think dude is there. I mean, we all know how LeBron is. He's very confident in his ability and what he can do. So I don't see it. Who can pay him? The team he's already on. They have the best opportunity to give him what he wants. Am I right or wrong on that?
No, you're right. I mean, teams that can compete, that's the first thing. Because there can be teams, like I did say Detroit, I think has money, but I don't think he's a fit there. I mean, teams on the back end who have the money. If you go through in the list, I mean, can he go to Sacramento? But does he want to go there? I mean, what does Sacramento have there?
You see,
that's what I'm saying.
He's not going to want to go.
He's not going to want to go there.
That's kind of at a what if position. Like if he's going to go somewhere, he want to go to a team that's like Golden State. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Like they're going ready to hit the hammer and do what they need to do to try to get there. Not a team that's still trying to figure it out. Exactly. Those type of teams don't have the bread, you know, and that's the thing. Like if the Knicks had a spot or the Celtics had a spot, those are type of teams. Or Miami, if they didn't go get the Greek freak, those would be the type of teams I could see him possibly leaving LA for. Is he really going to leave LA?
No, I agree with you.
I don't see
his family is adjusted to being out there too. The organization. I mean, look, he got his son on the squad, so yeah, he has more say there.
Over there. Bye, Bronny. I'm going over here to Cleveland to get this ring. Good luck.
Yeah, no, I can't see that. So that's what I'm saying. I mean, I can't either. I'm with you. I think it's the Lakers. It's just that I'll be honest with you. He's probably gonna have to play for like 20 mil. He can't get no 50 mil because they just gave Austin Reed that money.
Yeah, so, and he might have to do something like that. He ain't going somewhere where he gonna play for like
a mil, 2 mil. Yeah, exactly. No. So I'm with you there, and that's why it was just like so interesting. When I was thinking about it, I'm like, all right, well, where's LeBron gonna go? Because now that Giannis is gone. Now LaMelo Ball, even though that just came quickly, is gone. The only other one is Brown, and he's still under contract.
Is going to be fiery.
No, I know that. I know that. That's why it was just. Hey, I could talk forever for that one because I see a lot of spots where he can go, whether in Jalen Brown, and whether you send him to Houston, the Clippers, So I mean, you know, eh, look, there's quite a few places he could go in the league. So, um, but yeah, but LeBron, I'm with you. I think he's going to end up staying in LA. I mean, that's pretty much where he's going to be. So, but we're going to go ahead and move on to the next topic, the last basketball topic, and you know me, I got to throw a Knicks twist into it. So, but Mitchell Robinson and Knicks land, will he stay or will he go? I mean, we touched on it a little bit earlier, but because of Dolan's statement and the moves that the Knicks have made, and because they can go over the second apron to sign their own free agents. But the question is, does Mitchell Robinson stay or does he go? And I think it boils down to one simple thing. What does he want in terms of money? Because if he wants $20 million, the Knicks are not going to give it to him. If he's 12 mil, do I think they try and do something? And now it becomes the years. Does he want 3 years? Does he want 4 years? If you can get him for 2 years with a team option, maybe you do that, for 12 million. But I mean, he's an offensive liability in terms of scoring. He's an offensive asset in the rebounding spectrum, and he's a great defender, but he's also a liability. We see Hacker Mitch. So it becomes a problem there, so, and literally he's been injury prone. So it's like, he's going to give you what, 12, 14 minutes off the bench. So is he worth $20 million for that? No. Love Mitchell Robinson. If you could find a way to keep him, I would want to keep him. But at what cost?
Unpopular opinion for you, Coach.
Go ahead, bro.
A nice little spot for Mitchell Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
Go on over to the Barclays Center and get your $20 million to go play for the Brooklyn Nets. That's what I do.
And guess what? Julius Randle is over there, so he's played with Julius, so he knows what to do there.
And you know what? The Nets don't have a 5, and we got plenty of guys to jack up some shots where we don't have to worry about Mitchell Robinson's offense. Because I need somebody over there that can play some defense. Leaf and Leaf trying to sell Nets fans on Danny Wolf being the starting center of the Brooklyn Nets. I'm not sold. I think if you bring in Mitchell Robinson and you have a rotation of a guy like Danny Wolf who gives you more on the offensive end, because you're not going to play Mitchell Robinson 30, 40 minutes a game. So again, I think it's a perfect. And the Nets have the money and they have the cap space to give him the contract.
Yeah, you're right about that. I mean, Knicks Nation
ain't gonna like that.
Like it. No.
Knicks fans won't like it, and Knicks fans ain't gonna like it.
You're right.
That's a very unpopular opinion, but
that's
I think it makes sense for the Nets and it makes sense for Mitchell Robinson.
Of course,
it
makes a whole lot of sense, and he's like you said, he stays in the area. But in the same token, is he gonna want to do that watching his brothers in a sense?
Got no range. Shit, fuck it.
Yeah, no, I get you.
Well, then help these guys. You know what I'm saying?
And get your money. So now you get your money. I get it. The Knicks in me is like, nah, I don't like it. I don't want him in Brooklyn.
And Nets fans do not want to turn into the Brooklyn Knicks. That's what they've been saying. So again, I know how both sides feel about it.
No, I get you. Logically, what you're saying logically does make sense. Economically for Mitchell Robinson, for the Nets, it helps them, and you can develop, Wolf, and look, he may learn something from Mitchell Robinson. So I get that aspect, but of course, the fan, because we're fans, we don't want to see that because the Knicks and the Nets. It's the brothers. That's really what it boils down to. The Knicks and the Nets are the brothers, just like the Jets and the Giants, the Yankees and the Mets. It's the brother syndrome. People don't want to admit it, but yes, it is. That's what it is. That's all it really is. You like you always say, you just want to see New York shine. With all the teams. Even though you're a fan of one team, you want to see the other. And I get that part. Because I want New York to shine. Because it's us against everyone else. When you think about the brothers, I'm a nudge and poke at my brothers, but if anybody outside come out, no, 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 I'm gonna smash you in your face. So, but yeah, I get what you're saying about Mitchell going to Brooklyn. Especially if the Knicks can't afford him, and then it would be up to him. If they offer him 20 and the Knicks are offering him 12, what are you doing? So
And
now
it's gonna tell you what it's about. Is it about winning or is it about the money?
The money, exactly.
You already won. I mean, if I'm a player, I already won. Now it's time for me to get my bread. I'm sorry.
I get it. And that's where everybody ain't like me, so I get it.
Because some guys get it some guys get it in reverse order. Some guys are good. They come out the gate, they go to a bad team, they perform at the highest level, they get paid, then they want to go somewhere and win. A guy that's already won, that hasn't really gotten paid yet, not like he wants to. Hey, get your money.
No, I'm with you. I get it. I understand. Like I said,
we already know the Knicks will be all right. We already talked about it, so it ain't throwing shade at the Knicks, trying to get them, make the Knicks worse. No, it just makes sense for both teams. That's what I think.
No, I get you, bro. I get you. Well, we're gonna move on to the next topic, and we're gonna get into the NFL. And I saw an article on ESPN, and they said there are players, because they're doing all 32 all the teams in the NFL. And I just wanted to focus on the NFC East because, that I root for the Giants. That's NFC East. And that's what I grew up and that's what I knew. And the other thing that I found intriguing when I was reading it is all the players that they picked are on the defensive side of the ball. If you take a look here, it's Tibbs, it's Carter and Overshown. What's his name? 94 for Washington. I forgot his name.
Is it Payne?
Yeah, Payne. Thank you. Okay. But they're. Let me. Do I have the article open? Here I got the article open. Let me see. Let me close this and share the article. Share screen. Where did it go? I just had it. Here we go. I got it. All right, so here we go. And it starts, talking about Overshown. Overshown has played just 19 of the possible 51 regular season games because of injuries, which makes his future contract difficult to project. So that's going to be a big factor into everything with him. Can he play? And, with your injuries, that affects your contract. That we all know that, so, if he comes out and produces and helps that defense, because the defense wasn't well with Dallas last year. So if he comes back and he shows that, he's back, then, there's that possibility. And here it is. For the first time in his career, he's shown a full offseason of focus on football and not rehab. So he believes he's headed to a big season at middle linebacker for the first time. So that's going to be big for him, So, and I understand why they picked him, because you could have initially picked George Pickens, which makes sense.
Would have went with.
Yes, I understood it, but when I was reading it and I looked at it, I was like, you know what, it does make sense for Overshown too, because of all the injuries, and this is his first full off season just thinking about football and not injuries. It makes sense, and I was shocked when I saw he's only played 19 of 51 regular season games.
Yeah, that dude been hurt.
I was like, damn, I didn't realize it was that much. So, that's less than 50%. So, so it's like, okay, I get it. He's playing for a contract. He's playing for his career. Pickens is not. Pickens is going to get his money. So, but I get why it's overshown, and it makes sense.
But I think that if you're thinking about impact, that's kind of the thing. I think the impact is Pickens, as far as the what on the team. So
we start at the end of July. Number of big names. So we asked all 32 team real to provide an update of things where it stands for players who get paid in the near future. What is the latest on CJ?
Players who should get paid. You putting Bryce Young and Beckham. Yeah, I'm putting Pickens in there.
No, good point. Good point. Because it says potential with the latest potential for new quarterbacks, good running back Gibbs and cornerback Devon Withers to reset the market. Yeah, so no, I mean I get where you're going too. I get it. So but I also understand Overshown because of the injuries. So
that's true.
Knicks, Giants, we understand about Kayvon. We do. And it's kind of, you want to talk about some of the injuries with him. He's playing on the last year. You got Burns and Carter in front of him. He's playing to, get on somebody else's roster. Oops, sorry, I didn't realize I had that up. It makes sense when I think about the Giants. He is the one playing for a contract, but he's not playing for it with New York. As it says here, it appears the Giants are going to make Thibodeau play it out. There hasn't been talk of an extension. He knows it's a big season for him after 2 injury-plagued years. He missed 12 games over 2 seasons and compiled just 8 sacks. This year would determine whether he can get the big long-term deal he deserves. And I don't think he's getting it with New York if he does, even if he has a breakout season. What's your thoughts? You think if he has a breakout season, he's first of all, do you think he's out of here with New York?
Not necessarily.
Why is that?
I've been saying you have to see what Abdul Carter truly is in his second year. You have to see that play out. Everybody's, I always go back to my man. You want to crown him? Crown him. You know what I'm saying? Let's not crown him yet. Now you still got Brian Burns. That's why I'm keeping Thibodeau. Now, what if injuries happen during this season to one of the other guys? You still going to let Thibodeau out if somebody has a season-ending injury or something like that, and muddies up your depth on your edge room? So those are things that I'm looking at, and that's why I don't think he's necessarily out of here. Now, what is Kayvon Thibodeau? What kind of role is he going to want to be in? Is he the type of guy that says, hey, I got to go start and prove who I am somewhere else? Then he's probably out of here. If he's a guy that just wants his money, and if you're the Giants, you can give him that money knowing that you don't have to pay Carter yet because you're still trying to figure him out, I think you can make a deal work where you can keep him around for a couple of years, keep him happy, keep the team together, and then when Abdul Carter is ready to get paid, you're going to have to cut Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah, but what's the market for edge rushers?
They not paying nobody, coach, on that team right now. They paying a Debo and the other guy, but you can get out of those awful contracts. Him and Javon Holland. Outside of that, they only paying Brian Burns. That's the
Burns and Thomas.
And Thomas. Yeah, that's on offense, though. I'm just saying.
But here's the thing, though. That's why I was asking that because, it says elite players. So, but elite players on the edge are exceeding $40 to $50 million. So, where are you going to pay him?
That's the thing.
No, I get it.
Can you give him a middle of the road contract?
But that's my point. Are you going to pay him, say, $25 million, $25 million to come off the bench in a sense?
See, people have to start looking at that starter bench thing a little bit differently. You know, we talk about it a lot in the NBA, where you have a lot of guys that's really important to come off the bench. But yeah, if you got to pay a guy a little bit more money to do a role for you that's key, you know, and maybe he is that run stopper, edge setting type of role. How they had remember they had back in the day that old guy, man. We used to always Jihad Ward, yeah, Mr. Edge setter until he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? That like maybe if you want to pay a guy and you got to pay him a little bit to do that type of role, okay, use your money wisely. Use your money to keep your talent. Remember, we talk about that.
Yeah, no,
you know, but it's up to Kayvon Thibodeau. If Kayvon Thibodeau says, nah, fuck that, I don't want to come off the bench for anybody, I'm a starter in this league, then then there ain't nothing you can do about it. Ain't no amount of money really going to satisfy him at that point because he can get it somewhere else.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nah, I mean that's how I feel about it. I don't think it matters whether he starts or not. If you're the Giants, I think it only matters to him.
Well, I say this, all right, because with players, they're independent contractors in a sense. So their contract dictates everything. So, you know, because remember, you have incentives that are written into your contracts. So, you know, if you get 15 sacks, you're going to get, you know, an extra, let's say for argument's sake, $2 million or $5 million, whatever. So yes, all of that matters. But if you're coming off the bench, you're not going to have the opportunities to maximize. So I get what you're saying. And yes, in some regards, yes, use your money wisely. So for Kayvon, yes. Now on the flip side, how does ownership feel? Are they comfortable with paying $25 to 20? Yeah, that's cheap. 20 to $25 million to someone coming off of the bench. Yes, I mean bench, because like you said, Carter is on a cheap contract. So yes, you want to capitalize there in that regard. But at what now? Because he's at literally 15 million. Let's say he's 15. If you're saying go up to close to 18, I could rock with you. That's why I said 20 to 25. Because if you're telling me he's 25 mil, personally, now if you're telling me based on because now when you're coming off of the bench, his usage.
What did it say right now? He making 14.
14,751. Yeah.
Okay, so is a $10 million raise too much? If he performs this year adequately, so what does that look like? I don't know. Say he has 7-8 sacks, and he just gives you good depth, and the Giants have a good season, and their defense performs. Especially if their defense is good. Now, if their defense is cheeks, then I mean you got to redo some things. If their defense is good and they're all gelling and that group is hunting, I'm keeping it together for a couple extra million a year.
That's fair. I get where you're coming.
No, but Kayvon Thibodeau has to be with it, and so far so good. He likes the coaching staff, so he might be willing to do something like that for you.
No, and you did say the perfect thing. You have to see what you have in Carter, because Carter could end up, you know what, going into that sophomore slump, and now you have Tibbs. So now, you know, the Giants are forced to. Well, I don't want to say forced, but now you have something you can fall back to, someone you can fall back to who can come in and play as a starter, and then you can bring Carter off the bench, and you know what, you can let him develop. And even still, Brian Burns may be out of here in a couple of years. So then it's like, you know, I get where you're coming with that. So yes, it makes sense there. You know, you have to see, and you have to play it out.
Huge contract when he comes back up. So
yes.
You might want to keep KT around if you can give him a little bit cheap if you try and save some bread.
And the market always changes too. So, but let's go over to the Eagles. This one is tricky. He says Carter, 25, has shown that he can be one of the NFL's most disruptive interior linemen, but he's coming off a down season largely to shoulder injury, and entered the league with some questions surrounding his involvement in a fatal car crash. It's understandable that Carter's representation would shoot for the stars, Jeffrey Simmons, at 35 mil, but there's a risk involved with Philadelphia's perspective, and the key will be finding a deal that offers big money for Carter and some protection for Philly. Ideally, they find that middle ground before training camp. So, and yes, what they're saying is so true with him. With the off the field incidents, the immaturity. Because remember, he had that situation with spitting on what's his name, Dak
Yeah.
Prescott. So, are you going to want to give him big money? You know, right now. And look, Simmons just got 35. So, look, his eyes widen when you see that. So it's like, well, he's older, but him and Chris Jones and Dexter Lawrence, yeah, I want money like them. So, and does Philly want to pay them? And you have him and you have his what's his name too, his teammate,
Jordan Davis.
yeah, Jordan Davis. So it's like now Carter's better than Davis. I'm not gonna sit here and say he's not. He's not.
Yeah.
And his talent says, yeah, he has the talent to command that money. But yeah, the off the field issues, and look, spitting on another player, that's yeah, that's out of pocket big time. So it's like but as Giants fans, what we're gonna say. Nah, Philly, don't pay him, trade him, get him out of here. So but realistically, let's be being fair. I think Philly's gonna. First of all, he's gonna have to prove himself. That's why this year is so big. He's gonna have to prove he's worth that money, and that as a Giants fan is concerning. Because we all know the deal when players are playing for that next contract.
Watch out, John Michael Smith.
Yes,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So but I mean, what's your thoughts on Carter with Philadelphia?
Yeah, Philly's got to keep that defensive line around. Philly's gonna have to lean on their defense a little more than they realize. I think so. As far as Carter's concerned, he's the anchor. Remember those old guys are gone. Brandon Graham, and then the what was the other one? Retired a couple years back.
Yeah, I forgot his name.
Yeah, but that was the old guard. So now it's him and Davis. That's the new 1-2 punch on that defensive line. As far as in the middle of it is concerned. So yeah, you got to keep those guys happy. You see around the league these guys chasing defensive tackle help. Giants got a first-round pick for Dexter Lawrence. Unprecedented stuff because getting those guys is very important to your defense. So if you already got a dominant one there, and he's pretty good, and you just got to make the money work. That's what Philly does. They make money work. They. Now we waiting for it to catch. Pat always says it's going to catch up to him. Watch, it's going to catch up to him. When it does, but it ain't caught up to him yet. So you might as well just do another deal like you normally do and give the guys money because you need them.
No, I'm with you there. I mean, because I'm looking at their roster too. Behind Carter, you have Brian Young, Twaquan Graham, Uar Bernard, and behind Davis, you have Zion Wilson. So yeah, everything is contingent upon those two right there, and like you said, you got to give them the money. I mean, Nolan Swift, Moro Ojomo, Sock Brown, Jahad Campbell, Jonathan Grenard, Reek Woolen. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna. Their defense is based on them. So you got to give Carter, and you know what? If he has a smart agent, his agent knows this. Yeah, you get rid of him, your defenses can probably crumble, and that may affect your whole team going forward. So, so the question is, does he deserve Jeffrey Simmons money right now? I'm not going to say he deserves 35 mil, but 25 to 30.
He's going to get it.
You think he's going to get 35?
I'm telling you, he's gonna get up north for 30 something because
Hmm.
you got to think, like you said, Coach, how important he's to Philly,
Yeah,
how important he is to that defense. So he knows
part
that
of
if
it.
he knows that and he has that leverage now, like this season is gonna be key. But if he goes out there and he puts it down,
Hmm.
you gonna have to give him that type of bread. He ain't gonna settle
Yeah,
for less. A good agent ain't gonna let him get no less than that because the market's gonna
yeah.
keep going up.
No, that's right. You're right about that. You're right, and I mean, that's how I'm just
And
thinking.
it
Is
may
he?
come to a standoff, and then you may have to trade the guy. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Well, get to a
So
standoff and trade him. Yeah, yeah. Bitch, I know if you're there listening. I'm sorry, bro, but yeah, get him out of here if we can. So, but no, yeah. Is he worth that money? I mean, in the long run, I mean, again, he's 25 too. So, I mean,
oh, young
yeah,
guy.
yeah. So,
Be there for the next 10 years.
and last one, Deron Payne. Um, Peters, the general manager, made it clear early in off season that the only contract extension for the Commanders would be for Laramie Tunsil, but Payne, entering the final year of his contract, has been a fixture on Washington's front line since 2018. Peters said they'd focus on his contract after the season because of the staff and front office want to see how he fits with the new coordinator, Durante Jones' defense, which uses a 3-4 base instead of a 4-man front. Payne just turned 29 and will have a cap hit of 27.9. Keep this in mind. The last time Payne was in a contract year in 22, he produced a career best 11 and a half sacks, 6.5 sacks more than his second highest total. So that's telling me that when he's playing for a contract, he's going to produce. He's going to produce, and they want to wait till after the season, which I get it, but in the same token, you know what that means. You're risking having to pay more as opposed to when you have the opportunity to pay him earlier. Now I get playing, the transition from a 4 front to a 3 front. So you want to see how he does because basically you're saying, well, is he going to be in
Is he gonna be a nose?
nose? Let me see. Let me see if
I
I
think
can
he was more
find.
of the nose because remember they had the other guy that they traded, Allen, and
Mm-hmm.
I think he was the three tech. So I think this guy is more Payne. I think is more than a nose guard, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. And
yeah.
for Washington,
I'm trying to pull it up now. Washington Commanders depth chart.
yeah, how big is this
Defense. Yeah, he's going to have him as a nose tackle. So
guy?
yeah,
Yeah,
you want to see, and then look, we know, it's different when you're, in a 4 front. When you're in a 3 front, you're definitely receiving double teams a lot more than you would a front four because you could slide sometimes on the outside shoulder of the guard, and you're not always going to get a double team. But if you're lined up on the center,
yeah.
you got both guards literally coming down on you. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. But if he's produced when he's in that contract year, that's telling me something. That might be another one that, like you said, watch out, John Michael Schmidt. I
Yeah.
mean, that's going to be something right there. So,
He better eat
um,
his Wheaties this year. I'm telling you. And you
yeah,
know what Dallas
yeah,
got over there with Kenny Clark and what
mm-hmm.
they've been doing. So that interior is going to be, hell to pay. That's why them getting CC Noah was so key to help out there.
Out of the four that we just talked about, Payne, Carter, Tibbs, and Overshown, who is less likely to get that contract money that we're talking about?
Less likely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I I want to say Thibodeau.
Mm.
Um, if you thinking less likely, just because I feel the way I feel, don't mean that
Mm-hmm.
it's going
Mm-hmm.
to happen, and it don't
Mm-hmm.
mean that's how the Giants and Joe Shane are operating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm going back and forth between Thibodeau and Deron Payne. Eagles ain't letting Jalen Carter walk out the door unless they're crazy. And Overshown, I think if he shows something, the Cowboys definitely need help at that spot to, want to keep him around. But Washington's GM said he wasn't paying nobody, negotiate with nobody but Laramie Tunsil. So how does that make Deron Payne feel? And as an older player, I think he's 29, almost 30, that's easy to move off of, and in Thibodeau's case, it's just about the depth, really, because I think the Giants like Kayvon Thibodeau. So I'll go Payne for right now. I'll go Deron Payne as least likely, but him and Thibodeau are kind of right there.
I'm with you there, but with Payne, I think it's because of the transition in terms of position in the concept, and being that he's at the nose guard, the techniques are a lot different. So I mean, even in the old system with a forefront, you could play, in the gap between the guard and the center. So your techniques are going to be a little bit different than as opposed to lining head up on the center. So sometimes you're going to play, if you're head up on the center, you're going to play two gap, as opposed to if you're in the gap, that's usually your gap responsibility. So you want to attack that gap a little bit more, as opposed to two gap. You got two gaps that you got to be responsible for sometimes. So that's why his production. I think, honestly, I know in the past he's shown that when his contract he produces, but because of the position adjustments and how long it could probably take him to get used to that, I can't see him getting 11 and a half. And first of all, that's at a nose guard. We only saw Dexter Lawrence do that, so I'm thinking 5, maybe 6 sacks,
maybe
tops. So it's like, and that's why I'm like, nah, I don't see him, especially getting top end money, like we just talked about Simmons and Jones, and he's already at literally 28. I can't see him, unless he really dominates and plays at a Dexter Lawrence level. So, but I'm intrigued to see. So
yeah, most definitely.
I'm gonna move on to the last two topics, and I mean, I don't like talking about it per se because it's still up in the air, but it's something serious because I was reading it, and for those of you who don't know, he's accused of setting up, because supposedly he was at an Airbnb and he had some property stolen. Now I did see that because I had said it last night, just reported to, but he did report it to the police, which to me this makes it even worse. You reported it to police, and now you supposedly went and had the people who ended up being the wrong people, in a sense, robbed, beat up, and they're also putting on kidnapping charges. And supposedly, in the article that I read, he was even on the phone while they were doing it, and he was talking to them while it was happening and telling them what to do. And the people that were arrested, he knows them. He knows them all. So supposedly 2 females lured these people over to, wherever it was they got assaulted, and then people jumped out and assaulted them. So it's, first of all, for him, I think, he's going to be whatever the league's going to do, suspend him until it's situated. But I think in just for the record, if he's convicted, it's a life sentence, from what I read. For the Lions, I'm going to focus more on the Lions. To you, what type of impact does this place on the Lions right now?
Oh, it's huge. It's huge. He's their starting corner. And in a division with the Vikings and their receiving core, who just added Jawan Jennings and Kyler Murray to that offense. And then what the Packers can bring with all those receivers they got.
Don't forget Chicago.
And the Bears. Yeah. So from a football standpoint, this is huge.
Mm.
This is huge. I think he was their number one corner.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because they had a rookie who was on the other side. So
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a twisty one right there, bro. And then as far as this cat's concerned, I mean, like how, like, oh my people, boy, I tell you, like, I mean, how silly can you be? That's just I'm gonna bring it down a little bit on Coach's show. How silly can you be?
speak it, bro.
Because look, do these dudes watch these movies and think they're like a kingpin godfather where they can just, hey, I'm gonna take you out, like as if they're like some royal king or something because you made it to the NFL. You could just do whatever you want to whoever you want to. It's gotta be an ego thing with these dudes. It's gotta be the mindset to where it's like, I'm in the NFL, I got a bunch of money, I'm untouchable. I'm just gonna make this, ain't nothing you gonna do about it. I got the bread, son. Is that their mindset? Because I can't wrap my way around how in the hell you thought, A, you was gonna skate by and this not fall back on you. And then B, you thought this was just a good idea. That's not how you do anything. And especially that's not how you do that as somebody that's in the NFL with a lot. You got a lot of money, you got a lot of eyes on you too. That's what these dudes don't understand. Like, it's so frustrating to see because it's like, okay, a lot of people want that opportunity. Some guys get it and they just throw it away. And there's a lot of things that the NFL, NBA, it's a lot of nefarious stuff that goes on behind the doors and da-da-da-da-da. But I look at life. It's a job. It's a job that you're getting paid a lot of money to do. And at your job, you got things that you can and can't do. We all got to do it. That's how I be coming at this a lot now. Related to your regular life. You going to do that shit at your job? And then now magnify it. You're going to do that at a job that you're getting paid a ton of money. That a lot of people are knocking at the door to try to get in. You know, it ain't one of these jobs where you know, it just, it's a lot of people that can't get it. So I just hate to see that they throw away opportunities like this, man, especially a guy of his magnitude. I don't know the whole scope. You know, you got to let all that stuff play out, but just being in that type of situation it's sad to see. I'm gonna put it like that. It's sad to see because it's an opportunity thrown away. And if you're the Lions, you got to scramble now. You got to go find yourself a corner. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do.
That was one of the things that I said. You know, the draft is already gone. Yes, you're in free agency, but the
pool
big,
thin.
It's thin. But here's the biggest thing for me in terms of Arnold. Okay, because when I read, because you know, I talked about it and I said, just report it to the police. You know, so and let the police handle it because just like you said, because of your position. And then when I saw you did report it and you still went out and you wanted to, you know, handle justice your own self, you know, it's stupid. Now, here's the biggest factor. You're the big fish. So those other cats are going to turn on you because they want a lesser sentence.
Duh.
So it's like, look, hello, let the police, you and I get it. As you know, as people, we don't want people getting over on us, you know, I'm disrespected. I gotta handle justice myself. No, you let the police handle it, you know, because supposedly the value is $250,000. So I get it. That's a lot of money. I get it. That's even more the reason why you let the police handle it.
Man, that dude was about to get a huge contract.
That's the point. It's like,
Huge
you know what?
contract. Because
First
he
and
is
foremost,
the top corner on the team.
here's the thing. If your stuff is worth valued at that, I know you got insurance on it, player. Come on, if you got insurance, let the police handle what you got to handle and file your claim and do whatever you got to do. Plain and simple. It's look, I get it when you're younger. Like I said, I've been there. People robbed me before in my lifetime, and yeah, my ego comes into play. But you know what? Thank God I had kids, which forced me to calm down and don't do something stupid. But you got to have the right people around you that can calm you down. These other people, if they were willing to do this, then that's also telling me, you know what? They in there saying, well, give me something, and I'll talk to the DA and see what we can do. And the DA is saying, give me something, and we may, knock the charges down. Hello, you're the big fish. You're in the NFL. They want to make an example of you. You did the right thing initially by calling the police. That should have been it. That should have been it. Yes. It's just.
But that's when they ego kick in. Nah, yo, F that, bro. I'm getting my shit back, bro.
Exactly.
Like, I know how I was young, bro. I know the mindset, bro. Nah, the police ain't gonna do nothing. Nah, we gotta go get that back now, bro. So here go the bread, go handle that. Not even thinking the fact that, bruh, you know exactly what you're doing right now is illegal.
And you're, like you said, you about ready to get paid.
They did something illegal to you, but what you're doing is illegal. Like,
it's also dumb. Here's the thing. It's dumb because, like you said, he's about ready to get paid. So now you're losing millions of dollars in your NFL contract. But don't forget
whatever the stuff was. Whatever it was. I don't know how important it was to him, but whatever it was, that bread would have made that go away. I'm pretty sure.
So, and here's the other thing. Don't forget. See, these are the things. This is why I say they're independent contractors, and they got to think business. You lost your NFL contract, if you're convicted. Number two, if you had any possible endorsement deals. That's other money because your endorsement deals sometimes can go longer than your NFL contract. So, and I know I've seen him on ESPN because he talked about after his NFL career, he wants to go on to TV. And so now you just got knocked that out the park. So it's like, yo, when are we going to wake up, young kids? When are we going to wake up and see like, yo, yeah, you're in a better situation than most of us. I get it. I understand. You don't want to feel disrespected. Like NYG said, you want to handle it. No, bro. When you tell me the value of whatever it is $250,000, number one, if you're smart, you already have insurance on that. So now, once you get the police report and you go through the process, you got to wait a little bit, but you're going to get your money back. You're going to get your money back if you have an insurance claim on it. So it's like, let the police handle it. I don't care what people, nah, man, we can't let them go out. Nah, bro. Because I'm not ruining my career and my opportunity, because I just got to be more cautious going forward. Even if that means, if I'm in a state, because it was in Florida, so that means you can get your certificate, your license and carry. So if you got to do that, then you do what you got to do. I'm like, if you got to hire security.
23, bro.
Yeah, that's why it's like I'm sitting here trying to wrap my mind around the things that.
2 more good NFL contracts.
Yes. And
2.
You're playing a prime position.
Yeah.
You're playing a prime position. So, and the market keeps increasing, so the money's going to increase. That's why, bro, I want these young kids to understand. I understand some of them come from an environment where they don't understand this. They didn't learn this. They're learning this but you better get the right people around you. And you came from Alabama, so you had Nick Saban, so you have somebody in your corner who could talk some sense to you. I just, it bothers me when I see stuff like this, because why are you going out to try and handle justice when you already talked to the police? That's what even makes, to me, that's what compounds this and makes it even worse. You did call the police. Why are you now wanting to go handle justice? Let them do what they got to do. So, but that's it with that one. The last subject we're going to go talk about is about Brandon Ayuk. And he just recently challenged the 49ers to cut him. I say cut him. Come on, Ed. And if they did, he was signed with Washington. So he was, saying, the 49ers, they're stupid for holding on to him. You're paying me to just sit around and do nothing. Your GM said he's already played his last game with the 49ers. So I kind of understand what he's saying and what he's trying to do. And I'm like, San Fran, he's already said, now, first of all, he's told you he's going to go play with Washington. Well, I'm picking up the phone, and even if I can get a 7-round draft pick from them, I'm trying to get something from them. What's your thought on this whole situation?
Ayuk wants to play for Washington. Let him go play for Washington.
Yes.
What is it to you? So it just saying to me like there's some spitefulness here on the 49ers side. But maybe Ayuk is rubbing them the wrong way with some of his comments and some of the things he's been saying. So maybe there's some spitefulness here on the 49ers, because at this point, nobody's giving you jack shit for Brandon Ayuk, knowing good and well that he ain't suiting up for you. So it ain't no deal or no trade to be made. At this point, this late into the offseason, coming up on training camp, get the dude out your hair. Do you want that hanging over your head coming up on training camp? Let his ass go. Get him out of there. Let him go to the Commanders. Good luck over there with Washington. You know what I'm saying? Because, and I don't know why in the hell any goddamn dude would want to lead the 49ers to go to the dang on Commanders any freaking way. So he must be crazy. So goodbye, Brandon. See you. Goodbye. Yeah, dude, ain't got no sense.
He said in a video on Instagram, he said that if the 49ers release him, he'll sign with Washington tomorrow. 2 days after posting the video on Instagram, he shouted, "Go Commanders." The receiver posted 2 more videos on Wednesday. The first, he holds an NFL football that has the Commanders logo. Graphic on the video said the best sport in the world, the best league in the world, the best team in the world. The next part of his story is a photo of him with the graphic that says, "I almost forgot the best wide receiver in the world." So, and then shares his intentions in the second Commanders related video. "And if I'm crazy or if I'm capping, tell them boys to cut me today. I'll sign with the Commanders tomorrow." So
he is crazy.
Yeah. So
yeah, he is crazy.
So now, of course, for full disclosure, it's unclear whether the Commanders would have interest in signing Ayuk because he is still under contract with the 49ers. The Commanders can't publicly express interest in the wide receiver without violating the NFL's tampering rule. So John Lynch in January said it's safe to say that Ayuk has played his last snap with the Niners. However, the team has held on to him in the hope that it could find a trade partner. And you just said it best.
Cleveland, bro.
Straight
up, bro. Like, if you doing all that, what athlete does that? Goes on there and holds signs and things up of another team begging to go to that team. Like, how are you some type of desperate housewife or something? Like, what in the hell is wrong with this cat, bro? And I trade. You know what? You want to go to Washington? We'll go to Washington. All right, Cleveland. Give me a 7th round pick in 2028. You can have Brandon Ayuk. I don't care what it is, bro. Give me a bag of Doritos. Give me a 6-pack. Get this dude the hell up out of here. And you going to Cleveland. I ain't sending you to Washington just because You want to be an asshole.
Here's the other thing, because I said it before.
Weird. That's just
They're
weird.
independent contractors. What you're also, and again, this is why it baffles me with this mindset. All right, you want to go to Washington, okay, whatever. But to publicly do this, hello, every team in the league sees this, and they're gonna say, "You think I want that on my team?
Right.
You want to act like this?" No. Frisco, yeah, your best bet, just cut him. Cut your losses. Let him go. And what's to say Washington wants him? Like you said,
That's
Washington
what's
may
gonna be
say,
funny. They might not even pick him
"What?"
up.
Exactly. Then
And you
what?
did all that
That
talking about I want to be on Washington. Then you start the 2027 season on the Browns practice squad. That's gonna be hilarious. Now the joke's on you, dude.
That's why I don't understand some of these young men and their thinking. And like you said, it's the ego. It is that ego. It's like, seriously, first of all, it is a privilege and an honor to play pro sports. It is. And I don't get why these young men don't grasp this. You're super talented, whatever the case may be.
I'm begging to go to the worst team in the NFC East. I want to go from probably, when they on one of the best teams in the NFC, period, to the worst team in their own division.
Yes. For what?
And I'm gonna beg, not be on no low key shit. Like, hey, little hint. Nah, I'm begging to.
Yeah, it just, as a coach, I'm gonna say, here's the thing. As a coach, I don't want him on my team. I don't want him on my team. I could never want him on my team because of that type of attitude. Because if something goes wrong, you're gonna become a cancer in my locker room. And you know what? I'm the head coach. I'm not kissing your backside, whatever the case may be. Sometimes, no, I'm gonna try and work with you, and I'm gonna show you care, but I'm also not gonna kiss your backside. I'm not just gonna give you what you want. It's like your kids. You ain't giving your kids whatever they want. Daddy, I want ice cream for dinner. Excuse me? No, I cooked you dinner. You eating what I gave you, or you ain't eating nothing. Right. Damn it. So I don't get them. I don't get them. So, but man, that's it for today in terms of the reading attack at this episode 27. Appreciate everyone for rocking with us. So this was great. What you got going on coming up these next few days?
Well, you'll see some NFL preview shows coming out on the ABSN Aboriginal Sports Network. You'll see some NFL preview shows as we go through every single team, breaking down what they did last year, what they did in the offseason, and the outlook and predictions of going into 2026. So that's your NFL season preview guide, broken down into 7 different videos, 1 video per division, and then each team individual videos. So whoever your favorite team is, we'll have that covered. That's what I'm working on now. Giants Conversation will be back towards the end of next month. I'm going into training camp. And then, of course, Wednesday nights, Heart of the City. So definitely I'll be back there with you, God willing. And yeah, that's all I got now, man. Just the NBA draft, NBA free agency. We're gonna tap into that. We're gonna get into NBA. I'll be getting into some Brooklyn Nets stuff. So keep your eye on that. I might do a Nets. I'm gonna do a draft recap, but I may do a Nets off season, free agency preview. So be on the lookout for that as start to bring you some more basketball content, kind of balancing things out. But Football season's right around the corner too.
Mhm.
I'm excited for that. So we'll have it all right here on the ABSN. And of course, Unpopular Opinion Sports. Y'all can go there, find me personally.
All right. So there you have it. Stay tuned. You know the coach. I'm grinding now. I'm in that mode. I'm grinding. Saturday, another a halftime coaching adjustment show. The 2-0 farts, me and Philly halftime, just talking sports, life, and a question of the day. We definitely do that. Sunday night, I'm actually doing another New York Liberty courtside with Meech, where I'm covering the Liberty and the Golden State Valkyrie. So it's a big game. Valkyrie had a big win yesterday. So these two teams are fighting not just in the standings, but Valkyrie's already beat up on the Liberty earlier in New York. So New York wants retribution. So you'll see me with that, as well as the courtside view in the W with me, Leaf, and the Man Cave. So like you said, heart of the city. You know me, I'm grinding, and hey, like you said, football is here. So I'm Barry, and I know I haven't done a lot of football stuff, but I'm getting into it. So I'm getting into the college scene. So got some record stuff in line. Preview. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this, a Big Ten breakdown, or do I want to do a Big Ten SEC breakdown, the two big ones this year, as opposed to every conference that I did in the top Division I. So that's why I talked about the new rules in the NCAA. So definitely get into that, as well as the NFL. So me, my love for football, and I want to get more into strategy, playbook talk. So but a lot of that's coming, and like I said, I'm grinding, trying to get this channel up, whether it's Coach Ed Sports, New York Liberty courtside with Coach Ed, the ABSN, the Hardcore Sports Network, trying to help get them all elevated. So here I am, ready to grind, and I'm eager to do it. So I appreciate everyone. Make sure you guys, like I said, hit that like button, hit the thumbs up on Facebook, on Twitter, hit that heart. Definitely help grow the channel, help grow the networks. We've got some great content out there. So all that information is in the description. So you can always tap in, and you can always come back and tap in there. You can find me on TikTok, putting a lot of stuff on TikTok now, and starting to get the Instagram. So, like I said, I'm trying to grow my network. So there you have it. So, but I'm going to get out of here. I have another episode 28 should be back Monday, 2:00. Really appreciate my brother for rocking with me today. This was a great show. Couldn't have done this without him. Covered a lot of stuff. So, but hey, let's see what happens this weekend. Hey, will Jaylen Brown get traded?
Yeah,
we'll see. Hey, will things happen in baseball? You got the NHL draft coming up, so with the Devils, Islanders, Rangers, yeah. So we'll see. So, but yeah, we're gonna get out of here. Appreciate everyone for rocking with us. So, what's up, Charles? Thanks for being here, man. Always appreciate you. Have a great time there in paradise. Jealous. Make us all feel jealous. So have a great week, the rest of your weekend. And until the next one, y'all stay safe, stay blessed, and we'll see you. Peace.
Yo, it's Coach Ed. Got the insights, no boats. From the rookies in the youth leagues to the seasoned pros, ladies balling. Fellas fighting all around the globe. Breaking it down dynamic. Tune in, listen up. Don't want to miss the flow. It's Coach Ed Reed and Attack the Sports Show. From the courts to the field, he's got the stats. Dropping out is where the real fans at. So stand up, get ready for the play. Wave your arms in the air, let's hear you say. Coach Ed, our mentor on the mic. Breaking down the game, every highlight. Analyzing plays, court the turf like youth leagues, college dreams, pro spotlight. Tackling the flats, defense or attack. He's got the vision, shows you where it's at. We grab the scoop, no stone left unturned. In Coach Ed's realm, the knowledge earned.